I don't hear anything. Turn it up. Now I hear it.
Hello and welcome to the show you're watching, Girls Trip with LaVerne and Steffanie. I'm Stephanie Rivers.
And I'm LaVerne.
Welcome, welcome. So I am one of the things that I'm working on in 2021 is screen sharing, and all indications were that you should have been able to see the show open that we created for Girls Trip with LaVerne and Steffanie. But LaVerne claims she's not seeing it. You
still don't see it, but I heard it.
You heard it. Good, good, good. So today we want to let you know that we are TriCasting on YouTube and Facebook Live and LinkedIn. So you might be on one of those formats, and you can certainly join the conversation. But because you might be on a format that we're not getting your direct communication, you can always text me at 214-919-9360. So while I'm typing that in, LaVerne, what are we focusing on today?
Well, you know how shows that talk about what's trending. We have so much going on with the impeachment and the rioting and white supremacists on the verge of taking over America. So pick your subject today.
And you know what? It just so happened that we had decided last week that we were going to air on at 3:00 on that Wednesday, and we turned on the TV, and that's when all the confusion and insurrection and the storming of the Capitol was going on. So it just so happened. So we probably were one of the first shows to bring that to your attention, and we were talking about last week the issue of advocating for yourself. So following up with that, we know that, and LaVerne, I want you to tell your story that happened to you. We know that a lot of, the reasons why President Trump did not get elected is because of the effects of the COVID-19 virus on America. And although it might not have been his direct fault for the virus coming to America, it's with anything in life, it's how you handle the issues that come before you.
True.
And so, people's relatives died, people died, lost their income, lost their way of life. And so somebody, if you want credit for a vaccine, then be able to be willing to take credit or take responsibility of the issue. You can't take credit for the solution without taking responsibility for the problem.
Right.
So because of all that, and I've often said, it really, to know a person and how they really are, watch them when things don't go their way. What's their behavior? Well, we saw last week, these people, when things are not going their way, when their candidate doesn't get elected, they show their true colors. But we want to focus on the issue of the vaccine. That's one of the good things that I guess came out of it, is that the vaccine was created in record time. It normally takes 2 to 5 years to create a vaccine. This one was created in less than 10 months. But that's a problem, because a lot of people are now questioning the safety behind it. But so let's jump ahead, because we know there's a lot going on. And today we're going to hear from a doctor who gave a very elementary level explanation as to what this vaccine is. And then I also interviewed a doctor as well who was unable to be here, but I do have the written questions and answers. So, do we want to start with the explanation and then you tell us what your experience was with getting the vaccine,
Sure.
or okay. So, now I have pulled up, I said I'm willing to share my screen, and pulled up the pulled it up, but since nobody can see it, I also pulled it up on my cell phone. And this is a doctor who works out of Atlanta, and let's say her name is Dr. Manning. I'm just gonna say Dr. Manning because I don't know if she wants her full name displayed because she has gone out of her way to not use her name. But in the public forum, I'm going to say under the Copyright Act of 1976, we are able to use her dialogue based on, because it's for discussion and teaching and criticism, but we're not criticizing her. I think she gave a very great explanation as to what the COVID-19 virus, the vaccine, what it entails. So we're going to listen to her, and let me start her off where I want to start it at one because I had it queued up. Okay, I'm gonna start it right here. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to start it at where I know she's gonna go into the explanation. Oh, oh Lord. You building a house, and you need a blueprint to say, all right, this is the floor plan, this is what it's going to be like, this is what's going to be on the first floor, how many bathrooms, where the hallway is going to be. That big sheet that you lay out that says what it all is, that is what DNA does, okay? Next is RNA, or as it relates to the COVID vaccine, mRNA or messenger RNA. And what mRNA does is think of it like a contractor that says, all right, so we got the blueprint. Now let's give you some instructions about what to do. I want you to put this here. I want you to put this here. I want you to build this way. You know what? Yeah, let's put some granite right here. Let's do this. A contractor kind of makes sure that they give the clear instruction so that what is on the blueprint gets executed. Does that make sense? All right. So why this is important is because the COVID vaccine is not a DNA vaccine. You're not getting something that's going to interrupt your blueprint, change who you are, encode into you, track you wherever you're going, none of that. What it is just like an mRNA vaccine. So think of it like a little tiny baby contractor coming into your cells and telling certain cells what to do. Okay. That might sound scary to you because you're like, I don't want nothing coming into my body and into my cells, telling my cells what to do. That makes sense. So I'm going to break this down a little bit further. So these really smart people, when COVID came out, they said, all right, shoot, this SARS-CoV-2 virus, let's map this whole thing out and let's like in reverse figure out what the blueprint is of this virus. And that's what they did. So they took that thing all the way out. And when they looked at the whole virus, they saw that the virus has a bunch of proteins, like 29 different proteins. But one of the proteins on the COVID virus is super gangster, and the most gangster one is this one called the spike protein, and that's the one that like debows up into people's cells and gets them sick. So these scientists, people like Kizzy Corbett and all of these other folks, they said, you know what? What if we create a vaccine based upon the instructions on how to just build that little spike protein? And what if your body built some of that spike protein, and not the whole virus, but just that spike protein? And what if your body
saw those spike proteins getting built and say, yo, this ain't supposed to be here, and developed an immune response. Similar to what happens when you actually get COVID, but instead just aimed at that spike protein, right? Okay, so let's back it up a little bit. So what they did was that they developed an mRNA vaccine, which only is a little like information just to code for that little spike protein. Now, the other piece you have to know, because I'm gonna just nerd all the way out, is that you can't just roll up on somebody's body and think that if you have a little piece of messenger RNA, you can just hand it to their cell and their cell's gonna be like, yo, thank you. You have to kind of wrap it up in something. So it's kind of wrapped up in something called like this lipid layer allows it to get into your cell. Okay, so one, it's not a DNA vaccine. Two, it's an mRNA vaccine, but it's only coding for that little gangster spike, that one spike, not the whole virus. So you're not getting the whole virus. Three, it's wrapped up in this little lipid like jacket so they can get inside of your cell. Okay, so now we're at the point where this little piece of mRNA that's in your vaccine has gotten inside of your cell. So remember, the mRNA is like the contractor. So this little contractor has now gotten inside of your cell when you got your vaccine, and it says, all right, what we get ready to do is we about to build this spike, okay? And, you got all the materials in your body already to make the spike protein. So your body is like, let's do this thing. And your your cell is like, oh, this is what we doing? So we start making spikes, spike. You're making these spikes. So, no big deal so far until your cell goes like, wait a minute, this ain't something that like is supposed to be in your body. This is not something from us. This is coming from somewhere else. Somebody has invaded us. This is like a foreign material. You know what? Hey, immune system. So it calls out to the immune system, and these cells called macrophages roll up, and they just swallow up the cells with the spikes in them whole. But check this out. This is what's so dope about our immune system. Before the macrophages swallow it up whole, something happens first. And what happens first is that your body says, you know what? We got these T cells and we got these B cells, and we remember you. Kind of like somebody who did you dirty, but then they come back smiling, acting like you forgot. That's what your immune system does. Okay, so what your B cells do is it makes antibodies. And antibodies are gangster, because what they do is they get made and then they sit back in the cut and wait for something to pop off, okay? They don't do anything until something pops off. The T cells just kind of be on the lookout, almost like, the little lookout dude, like, oh, let me see what's going on. Okay, so you get your dose of vaccine. Your body, makes these antibodies. The T cells now look out. The other really dope thing about mRNA is it doesn't even stick around. It's like the UPS man. It comes, drops off the instructions with the little contractor, the contractor says what he has to say, and then disappears. So after you get the mRNA, it's gone. It ain't even like you have anything still living in your body.
Okay, so that is the first part. Let me stop it. So, LaVerne, now, was that kind of a good way, do you think, to share, to let people know what was going on, or was that confusing, or did that make sense to you?
I think she did a good job of sharing it from a layman's term, because she got a good point. It's very hard to talk medical terminology to people that's not in the field, and if you can talk where it's relatable to I call them lay people, but people that's not informed, it helps them kind of like, oh, okay, it makes sense. This is going to be put in my body to protect my body, blah blah blah. So I think it's fine, and I think it's good, and it's good to hear it come from another doctor. So it makes sense to me. But what you thought? Do you feel like you could grab it better? It's not as fearful, or you still feel that you need more information, more testimonials of success?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I liked her explanation of what it is, but that still doesn't. If we continue to listen, because it might be maybe 3 or 4 more minutes of the explanation of what happens, I still have questions because there's another doctor that I asked right out, or do you plan to take the, and now this doctor that I spoke with, I'm going to go ahead and give you his name, and he is Dr. L. Ray Matthews, and he also works in Atlanta. He is a he's director of surgical critical care at Morehouse College of Medicine, and he's a retired surgeon. So I asked him if he planned to take the COVID-19 vaccine, and he essentially said in his 31 years of being a surgeon, there were plenty of vaccines he was required to take. One, two, those vaccines he took 2 to 5 years for you to develop them and know the symptoms and know the side effects. Because of that, he's not going to take this vaccine. So not because he feels like it's messing with his DNA or any of that. It was because that it's happening too fast. You know, you build, it's like a relationship. They look good, they smell good, but you only know them for 2 weeks. You need to know, you need to know people long term before you start committing.
Okay, good example.
Okay, so and then something else that this Dr. Kim said was that she said the research, as well as the doctor that I spoke with, the research that the development of the vaccine is on 2 doses. Okay, they are now, because they're either running out of the vaccine or they're either running out of what something else they said is an excuse as to now why they're saying, oh, we're just gonna give you 1 shot. Okay, but the science says I'm supposed to get 2 shots. So now you got me in the middle of the highway. You got me in the middle of the ocean. And now you're gonna tell me you can't come and get me? Come on now. That don't make no sense. So tell us what happened to you, because you are a part of the essential working what is it? Percentage of the people who they consider to be essential workers. Tell us your experience with getting the vaccine.
Okay, first of all, Stephanie, I too had that type of advice. Like, my ex is a doctor. And one of the things he said, I tell you right now, not to get that, do not get it. It's like he was insisting it's too fast, it's too early, wait a few months, But however, because I do provide contract services for the state of Tennessee for special needs, I was put on the list, on the wait list. However, there was another lady that I am familiar with, was on the wait list, and somehow she said, hey, I'm going on and get it while Tennessee got it. She gets in line for over an hour just to be told no. And she was thrown into another tier, which means she have to wait till spring. Now they say Tennessee is running out of vaccine. So we don't know when Tennessee going to get the vaccine. We don't know if and when. And these are people who have all of the precursors, all of the challenges of physical and mental challenges that make them a priority. So it's like, you mean to tell me you don't have enough? For example, if it's 30,000 people that's special needs and they supposed to be on the list, and you get in line, you going to get it, you mean to tell me you don't have enough? And it's like what you said, you got me in the middle of the road, and all of a sudden now I can't catch a cab,
Correct.
So
correct. And was it you who told me that they waited hours in line only to get to the front, and then they told them, we
Nope.
ran out or something?
No, they told them that it's like the letter of the evidence to prove that you are a healthcare worker and an essential. It's like it doesn't matter. We'll see you in the spring.
Oh, so they
So you don't wait in this long line. Your back hurting. You're tired, and you're ready to get your shot now because you want to protect yourself so you can get out in the community. And then all of a sudden they tell you got to wait till spring. And at the same time, we're almost out of the vaccine. So two things: I gotta wait, but in the meantime, you are running out. So is there going to be some in the spring? Y'all going to get another batch?
Right. So
this thing is really getting it really shows you the unorganization of the rollout. It comes at home. You can hear it on the news, but you don't relate to it till it hits you.
Exactly, which is another, that's the responsibility of the federal government to coordinate amongst the states the rollout. It's just it's
I can't believe this. I cannot believe
what you're doing. State by state, you have to be on your own and have the money, because that's money. That's resources. That's whether it's manpower. You got people working on people trying to save their lives, and in addition, trying to administer the vaccine and trying to keep themselves healthy in the process. And there's so many levels, so many details that need to be taken care of that have not been taken care of, that it's just sometimes you don't know how poorly prepared you are until there is an emergency. And so this is just an example of how poorly prepared the United States was for a pandemic. Now,
and it's just like the thing happened in Capitol. You mean to tell me you can't get no backup? Oh, it's like no. I can't.
You know what? I saw something, a post on social media that says this is the place where they're passing laws of protection, and they can't even protect themselves in the house where they're making the laws.
It has showed our vulnerability on the world stage like never before.
So,
unbelievable.
Let me I'm gonna try to show you this picture and see if you see it. Okay, I am going to click in that, and okay, are you
good? Yes.
Okay, so
good,
maybe,
girl.
So this is Dr. Elray Matthews. He is the director of surgery at Morehouse College that I spoke to you about. So he's the one who answered my questions that I had about the vaccine. Now, one of the things that Dr. Matthews also mentioned was about vaccines. He said, along with COVID-19, there are 1,400 other toxins and diseases that have the potential to become a pandemic. He said, but do we take 1,400 shots every year? He said, no, we don't. So his rationale is that we cannot take a shot for every virus, every disease, every potential pandemic. But what we can do is fortify our immune systems. So he is one of the premier experts in vitamin D3, which is a hormone. And I don't know about you, but as we get older, some of the hormones in our bodies, the level of hormones start to decrease. Now, I will say this, if it's not evident, you and I are not medical professionals, but there's some stuff that I just consider. I do a lot of reading, and so I'm talking about my personal experience, and you're talking about your personal experience. So having said that, I try to keep my hormone levels by taking supplements at a youthful level, which, because going back to what the doctor said in the video, she was saying that there's the way your immune system works, it works best at is when you're younger. As you get older, certain things start to not work as well. And so when we as individuals, as we get older, our hormone levels, the vitamin D levels, our levels start to decrease. And that's why so many older people are more vulnerable. And then when you look at the younger people who are dying, it's because of your diet, because of just the vulnerability of your immune system, because we eat the wrong things, we eat too much stuff, we don't exercise, we don't drink water, we don't do things, we drink, smoke, do all this stuff to our bodies, and then we wonder why our bodies don't protect us in the middle of a battle called a pandemic.
Yeah.
So we got to do better by ourselves. So even in the face of, let's say you don't know who you're coming in contact with on a daily basis, and if they have COVID or if they're not, or if your mask is, where's my mask? I got so many. Or if your mask is protecting you or not protecting you or whatever. But if your immune system is, you work with that in addition to doing all these other things, you increase your chances of surviving COVID or the next thing that comes out based off of who these people are, these leaders up here that, you don't know what their ulterior motive is, what their plan is. You can't worry about all that. You got to worry about what's going on right here.
That's right. Absolutely. I am so thankful. I was going to bed last night and I was thinking about how grateful that my niece, which had a funeral, had to wait. There were 2 different events where she was hugging and kissing perhaps 100 people. Then they had a big event at her job. I mean, she has just been so exposed to so much. And I'm like, girl, it's just a blessing. You have not got this virus yet. I pray she got that strong immune system. But yeah, I have to agree. We got to put on the whole armor, and that means taking care of ourselves, which goes back to what you were saying last week about our show. Yeah.
And I'm just putting in, build your immune system to prevent becoming a victim to any, I said immune system, to any vaccine. And so I'm going to try to play this last 2 minutes of this doctor coming up, and because I figured it out now.
Good job.
Hold on. So here she is. I'm going to go to where we left off. Are you seeing her?
Yeah. Very good.
Okay. The trouble is that my thing is in the way. Okay, I can move that out of the way. Okay, so we stopped at 7. All right.
Makes these antibodies. The T cells now know what spikes look like, so they're on the lookout. And the other really dope thing about mRNA is it doesn't even stick around. It's like the UPS man. It comes, drops off the instructions with the little contractor, the contractor says what he has to say, and then disappears. So after you get the mRNA, it's gone. It ain't even like you have anything still living in your body, right? All right, so then COVID, you go, let's say you go to, see your friend's mama, and she come up to you and she's like, oh, I'm fine. And she start laughing in your face, and her mask is like under her nose, and she got COVID. And the COVID then creeps into your body. And then here comes COVID rolling up on your body, right? With them gangster spikes, right? But when the gangster spikes get into your cell, remember, we got some memory. So the T cells are like, oh, hell no, that is not who I think it is. And then the B cells are just gangster. They just like, break yourself down.
She's comical. She got sense of humor.
The more antibodies you have, right? The more antibodies you have to roll up, the better, which is why we give you one dose, and then we give you another dose. So you can have all them antibodies ready and waiting. So I think like when you get the first dose, it'll be like 50 something percent. But by the time you get that second dose, you're like in the 90 something percent range. So that's pretty much how it works. So if you have ever been somewhere where you saw somebody and you thought they were cool, and then they showed up and they did something crazy to you, and then a whole bunch of time went by, and then they rolled up on you again, and you had forgot, but your friend was like, that's that person that said so-and-so. Your friend is like a helper T cell. They're like, yo, And then if you got a bunch of really crazy friends, they can just be like antibodies and just bum rush without saying nothing, no conversation. So that's the science behind what's happening. It is not a DNA vaccine. It is an mRNA vaccine coding for this little gangster spike that gets wrapped up inside of this little lipid blanket, gets in your cell, steps in, says, yo, make some spikes, then disappears. Your body starts making the spikes, and then the body realizes it's foreign, scoops it all up, but not before the immune system says, we remember that. Okay, we remember that. And creates the little army of antibodies so that when something happens next time or pops off, it ain't going down like that.
All right. So I'm trying to get back to the screen. All right. So that essentially, that was a good
job.
Explanation. Good explanation. So, I mean, I feel better hearing it from hearing the explanation. I feel better about it being from a doctor. I feel better about it being from a Black doctor because, you know, we know our history with the federal government doing experiments on Black people, African Americans, without telling us and giving us the explanation. So I do feel better about it, but I still feel like what the vaccine does, I've been doing with the supplement. So I'm just going to stick with that. But at any rate, I wanted for, hopefully this helps our viewers to have a better understanding of what the vaccine is. And if you want to get that whole video for your own research and your own edification on your own time, you can text me. I've already put it in 214-919-9360, and I will send you that. And again, I'm able to share that under the Copyright Act for helping us to educate us and for research. So that's it. And LaVerne, what are we working on for next week?
Steffanie, I think we're going to do something that have to do with meeting our rotating guest, who she is and what she does.
Okay, yes, because we are building on what we've started. Now that I pretty much figured out how to show the show opening, we're going to premiere our show open next week, and then we're going to talk about a person who's going to bring us every week or every time we air information, share information on tips, recipes, things to do, places to go, and we're going to incorporate her and help to build, improve your life and build our viewership.
Yes, thank you.
So having said that, let me see, do I have I don't have it up. Okay, I'll just wait till next week. All right, so we want to thank you guys we're going to repost this if you missed it. So you'll be getting that information in the next 20-30 minutes. In case you missed it, you can always look at it again and pass it on. Like, share, subscribe. All righty, ma'am. So thanks for being here, LaVerne.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.